Angus Young, how you doing?
Good, Becko.
The Offspring.
How's it going, Becko?
Dave Grohl, how you going, mate?
Good, man.
Pete, it's been a long time coming.
Oh, Becko, hasn't it indeed?
We go inside the dressing room, speak to the biggest names in music,
Keith Richards and the Rolling Stones.
and crack open their esky.
That's exactly how I imagine you, by the way, sitting opposite me with a vodka and orange.
You're a discerning chap. This is The Rider.
Hey, it's Becko. Welcome back to The Rider. Well, this week, I want to bring you back to 2006 when you would have heard this song for the very first time. You might have been watching the OC on Channel 10 and thinking, this has got to be one of the greatest covers I've ever heard. As it turns out, it was a great Aussie band called Youth Group. They picked up the ARIA in 2006 for Best Breakthrough Artists. It all went from there. They've got a brand new album out called Big Whoop. They've just completed their Aussie tour. This is brand new from Youth Group, Saturday Dad, and this is my pick off the brand new album, When I Was. Big Whoop from Youth Group is out now, and go and get the vinyl copy and support the band as well. They've just wrapped up their Aussie tour. That song is so bloody good. When I Was. We're going to talk about that in a moment as well, and what was the Sydney music scene like in the 2000s. We've got Toby Martin, lead singer of Youth Group. Hey, Toby, how are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
I'm great. Congratulations on the album. I've been listening to it non-stop for the last few days. You know, it must be nice to have it finally
Thank
out
you.
there.
Yeah, it is very nice to have it out there, and we certainly make records these days in a fairly isolated way. Like it's just the four of us and Wayne who produced it, and not really playing many shows. So when it does come out and all of a sudden people hear it, it is nice because it's been very much a private, like a small and private concerns.
You know, it's been quite a while. It's been 6 years since your last album, and you've had a few solo albums as well.
Yeah, I put out obviously a few solo records and a record with a woman called Dang Lan, and the other guys from the band have been putting out stuff with their bands Victoria and Soft Focus, respectively. Youth Group these days is, maybe that's for the reason that I feel like it snuck up on us. I guess we're all doing different musical stuff now. But it's nice because it makes Youth Group special. Like it's not the only thing we have musically. It's one of the things. So I think I appreciate what makes it special and different to other projects, like the combination of the four of us and the way we play and the fact that we've played together for so long. You really can't manufacture that. That's just like comes out of a kind of a long-term chemistry, I think. So it's nice to be able to realize that. It's one of the advantages of there's got to be some advantages to getting older, right? So one of them is that you start to appreciate what the things you have built together are.
Do you find you're a better player? Like it's one of those things where I remember Keith Richards saying one day that they were so young when they did some of their biggest songs in their careers, and 50 years later they're still tinkering with them sometimes, and they're Keith's a better guitarist than he was all that time ago, and a bit of experience does help.
We used to joke that we weren't good enough to play covers when we were first starting off, because the only songs we could play were our own, which is ironic, seeing as we are now best known for a cover song. But
true.
But that was what we used to say. I don't know. I don't think I've really. I think I learnt a few things with guitar about 25 years ago. I don't think I've really changed much since then. Although having said that, when I did my record called "I Felt the Valley Lifting," actually, I feel like I developed some different kind of playing on guitar that maybe has kind of crossed through a little bit. But I think predominantly, it's not like we're very slick. Although actually, Danny, who plays drums with us, when Youth Group kind of did our sort of hiatus breakup in 2010, he then went and played with We Are Scientists and the drums, two bands in the States, and did a lot of touring and and play with a lot of, I guess the drums play with click tracks and a whole different way. So yeah, he definitely got heaps better. I'm not sure. Yeah, and I maybe have developed a few new things. I think probably the main thing that I've done between, I guess, youth group. Like if you think about youth group period 1, which was like 97 to 2010, and then youth group period 2, which is like 2019 till now. I guess the period between that for me was collaborating with different kinds of musicians. So like I worked a lot with Arabic, Persian, Vietnamese musicians, country musicians. So I think that my musical kind of vocabulary expanded a little bit.
And you were working at the Con in Sydney, right? The Conservatorium. Are you still there? Is that still a day job, or was that what you were doing?
Yeah. I still am. Yeah. No, I have two night jobs. Yeah. Being in a rock band and working at the Con. I'm still there. I teach in the contemporary music practice degree. So yeah.
That'd be like a fairly cool lecturer when you think about it. It's just like, I don't
know. There's a lot of cooler lecturers than me. hard to believe, I know, but there are. No, it's good. I feel very fortunate that I managed to make a kind of a 90-degree turn in my life. Like it's still music, and it's still, I guess, I can teach the kind of stuff that I do with songwriting and that kind of thing. So it's connected, but it's a nice change for me.
It must have made you a better songwriter.
Teaching it.
I
think it has. I think the big thing for me, because my job is half teaching and half research, and for traditional researchers that means maybe going to a lab or going to an archive and that kind of thing. But I do archival research too. But a large part of my research is songwriting. It's thinking how to write music and be inventive with songwriting, and that really has changed my practice. I think about, because before Sydney Uni, I was at a university in the UK called Huddersfield, and both places I was really encouraged to use my research time to develop my songwriting practice. And yeah, I think I definitely did things I wouldn't have done otherwise. I didn't have to think quite so much about sort of churning out songs for the next album or making them work live, or just kind of did it for the sheer interest in a way.
And is it different writing music now as, was I going to say middle-aged, but approaching middle-aged?
I think it's fine to say middle-aged. Just don't say old. That's fine. Yeah. Middle, I mean, definitely would have been middle-aged in the 1980s. People just like to delay their aging these days. But, well, you might have noticed that there's a lot of songs about parents and kids. Saturday
Dad was probably the first one that jumps out.
Yeah. So that is a theme of the record. But actually, I've got to say, I had my first child in 2010, and ever since then, I would say almost every single song I have written has had something to do with that, either very literally or kind of obliquely. So it's definitely taken up a lot of my I guess imaginative space. It's funny with kids. It's like very beautiful and also worrying. There's love and worry and all those kinds of emotions, but it's also very funny. It's just like lots of funny things, and not just the children themselves, but also just the paths you go on, like just the weird situations you find yourself in at like a school pickup and living in England, because that solo record I made there was so much about just living in a funny little village and all the characters, and a lot of those characters were kind of revolved around the school my kids went to, and sort of the other parents and all that kind of stuff. I'm the kind of person who doesn't look very far for inspiration. Quite happy to work with what's around me.
Yeah, Huddersfield, you would have had to have been a rugby league fan if you moved there.
It's birthplace of rugby league. Yes, it is. It's funny, we went to have a look at this primary school that our kids went to, and they were like, "Oh, Australian! We had an Australian parents here last year," and it turns out that the dad was a semi-retired rugby league player who'd gone to play out the rest of his days in Huddersfield from Australia. Yeah, they were disappointed with us, obviously.
Yeah, I'm a musician. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So you still live in Sydney? Because I know you grew up in Melbourne. You stopped over in Canberra for a few years, and then Sydney these days. But Narrabundah College. I went to school in Canberra as well, not far from you. I think our schools hated each other. I was at grammar, so...
Oh, right. That's right. I had some friends from there.
Yeah.
Narrabundah College, yes, I went there year 11 and 12. In fact, that's where I met Cameron, who is the guitarist in youth group.
Yeah.
So I had a 12-string. This is like our friendship lore, but I had a 12-string guitar, and had it in the main quad, and Cameron came over and asked if he could have a go of it, and that was it. Friends since then. So
wow.
Yeah, we had a band in year 12 called the Morris Brothers, which were like a lo-fi 4-track band. We made albums in Cameron's garage. Yeah.
It's very rare to be as adults and also, like being through 6 or so albums and it to still be playing with a bloke you met in high school, like.
I know. Well, I know. I really like collaborations. Like I have lots of very, I think, quite precious artistic collaborations in my life. So I'm the kind of person who once I find someone I like working with, I really don't let them go. Are you still in Canberra?
In Sydney now, but I had a short stint down there a couple of years ago, mid-COVID, because Canberra seemed like a great place to be in the middle of COVID because it was open for a little while. The Sydney scene must have been really, really fascinating during the late 90s, early 2000s. So that's when you relocated, I'm guessing. Did you go at the same time as Cameron? Did you sort of keep the band going?
So youth group hadn't formed when I left Canberra. So I was in another band called Velveteen. And Velveteen, we broke up just after I moved to Canberra. I guess the Hume Highway killed our band. But actually, youth group formed very quickly out of Velveteen. So, I mean, this is getting into very detailed band history, but like Paul Murphy, the first guitarist of youth group, was also in Velveteen. So he and I then went and formed youth group with Andy and Danny. Cameron and I were friends, and we played in the Morris Brothers, but we were in different bands for our early years. Cam didn't join youth group till after we recorded Skeleton Jar, so 2004, something like that.
Yeah,
he joined. So and the Sydney scene. I mean, I guess you see everything in life as in comparison, but certainly in comparison to Canberra, it felt like an absolutely magical fairy tale Disneyland. I mean, it was like only 3 hours up the Hume Highway, but it was like, it was like tropical. It's like there were bats at night. It was like there was Half a Cow Records. There was the Sando. There were all these bands which were really fantastic. And I guess our record label Ivy League sort of started just around the same time, just after I moved to Sydney. Actually, the year I moved to Sydney, 96. So, in comparison to what I'd experienced, it felt pretty magical. Yeah.
And of course, when I was in Canberra, I would go to the record store, which was Impact Records, but there were many, and I would get the weekly street press and just dream of being in Sydney and seeing all these bands, and you
even though it's only 3 hours away, I think that's the funny thing. It's like it's very easy in Canberra to fantasize about an exotic life somewhere else, even if that is just up the road, really. Just in Sydney, it's interesting.
Did you just sort of do any spontaneous solo gigs up here in part of the Newtown scene, or was it jump in and do a show, or is it all you've been enjoying the life balance?
Yeah, I do play solo a bit. I'm not crazy for gigging a lot, but I do. I played in August. I had a significant birthday in August, so I did solo. I played 3 nights in a row solo, and I did kind of like a retrospective of my musical life, and I did that. Actually, I did it in Melbourne and Brisbane as well. So that was nice. I do sometimes do a solo thing. Yeah, I also play with Uncle Roger Knox, who's a Gomeroi elder and country musician, and it's not solo because I play with him, but it's very acoustic. It's usually often just the two of us with acoustic guitar, and I've done a lot of that this year because his album, which I worked on, came out a few months ago. So we yeah, we're doing lots of shows. So I'm getting pretty. Yeah, I feel like I got pretty good at the old acoustic guitar troubadour kind of thing.
It's good sort of timing. I know you did a PhD in sort of research on the history of country music, and it seems now, having gone to this festival a couple of weeks ago, Riding Hearts, just looking around, going, all these people would have been traditionally rock and roll fans, like rock fans, but now they're into the sort of the country or country crossover. It's really an interesting time.
When I started my PhD in the early 2000s, if people would ask me like what I'm doing it on, I'd say country music, and they'd be like, "Why? Do you like it?" It was like it was very baffling. But I think if I was to say that now, I think people would think it's completely normal. I think it's the attitude. And country music is very interesting how it comes in and out of fashion. Like it's been doing that for 100 years. Really, it's like it started in the 1920s, and it's just like dips in and out of fashion. And it was super cool until the mid 50s when rock and roll came along, and suddenly it was the uncoolest thing in the world. And then it was very uncool for a few decades. And I think in the 90s it was kind of a thing with wearing check shirts and having a pedal steel player. I mean, we certainly did. And then went out of fashion again, I think, particularly maybe to do with the whole skinny jeans rock music thing of the early 2000s. That's my potted history of country cool.
I think you nailed it though, because certainly you're right. Like,
I guess I was thinking that the stuff we were into was like which is called alt country at the time.
Yeah.
I guess now it's called Americana, but like Uncle Tupelo or Bonnie Prince Billy or I guess or Gillian Welsh, those kind of artists, I suppose. Yeah, as well.
Yeah,
that's where we got our check shirts from.
Fair enough.
Wilco. I guess it turned into Wilco, who took it to a large level
very
of
much
popularity.
on mass.
But yeah,
and then you had all the other sort of the superstars as well who were playing stadiums and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you're right. I think grunge and then sort of modern rock in the 2000s kind of killed it off for a little bit. But it's so interesting now.
It's like a ready-made musical form. I mean, I suppose it's like crime writing maybe or something, where it's like it's a very recognizable form that people enjoy and has brings up associations for people, but then you can put your own story in there.
How you finding the balance of having a family and kids and everything, and I guess these days you can sort of choose how hard you want to tour. Like you can sort of be the weekend warrior, be home all week. Maybe do.
Look, we hardly ever tour, but I mean, like really, the youth groups we're playing 4 shows this year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's but that's that's large. I mean, I don't know. Danny lives in America, so we only play when he's back here.
Right. Yeah.
But actually, it's not just that. I mean, I'm quite happy for youth group to be like sort of like a project rather than like I go, okay, this album's out. We're going to play these shows. That's like a little project I've got, and that's how I guess that's how I think of music these days, and that's how I think of songwriting as well. It's like, okay, I want to work on this for this week, this project, and I don't know. It's just maybe that is about having children that you sort of go, okay, you've got to set aside the time to do it because time just works differently.
Yeah.
Like that, where you have to manage your time a bit more like strategically. So so it kind of suits me.
Plus, also a very important day job, which would take up a lot of energy. So
those leather elbow patches are not gonna wear themselves out.
Yeah. It is a really strong album, though. Like I was having a listen again tonight, and Saturday Dad's obviously a standout, but Siberia I really enjoyed on my first listen.
The songs all have very different writing stories. Yeah. Siberia and When I Was were written with a friend of mine who's a electronic dance musician in New York. And we did a Craigslist house swap. Remember Craigslist?
Yes, yeah,
that was a thing. So Jane, my partner, and I lived in his apartment in Manhattan, and he lived in our apartment in Surrey Hills. And then we were like, when we first met, like, oh, we're both musicians, and then we ended up writing a whole album together. And like partly in New York, but also partly long distance. And then two of the songs are from that writing. That's why they have more of the dance music kind of vibe. Another big batch of songs, I just went down the South Coast and for a few days and kind of just locked myself away and really tried to write. And that's because I knew Danny was coming back and I knew we had to record. So I sort of really just forced myself to do it, which actually was a really lovely experience, even though at the time it felt like, I don't know if I'm about to write anything. And then Saturday Dad and Romeo was me and Cameron writing together, actually. So, yeah, they're all a bit, there's some different gestation.
When I was my other sort of highlight, funnily enough. So give him a pay rise or something,
There's a few, he gets, don't worry, we're looking after him. But there's a few Canberra references in When I Was, actually. Yeah,
interesting.
Few little Canberra Easter eggs in there.
Yeah.
And also Kim Deal, the song Kim Deal is basically set in Canberra. Mentions Canberra, actually. It's like a fan letter, but it's also just a reflection of, I guess, being a teenager and starting to discover music that is going to sustain you for the rest of your life.
And also, science has proven it that the music you listen to when you're sort of, I think, 15 defines your life, apparently. So,
I mean, I don't think I'd ever heard Feedback until I heard Cannonball, the beginning of Cannonball, the Reader song, which starts with this burst of feedback. I mean, and that's, it's kind of weird. It's just such a simple thing. That was like pretty amazing. And around the same time, I think I saw Sonic Youth play at the ANU bar, and that was a similar thing where it was like Lee Ronaldo put a screwdriver between the fretboard and the strings, and it was like, I mean, not that youth group we don't do things that are that necessarily intense, not that heavy, but I don't know, it just kind of opens your mind, I suppose, hearing things like that.
Now, where were you on the night that Nirvana played the ANU bar?
That's a good question. Actually, it's funny. I hadn't actually moved to Canberra, so that was, for me, that was the very, very beginning of Year 12 when they played. So it was January or February 1991. I was late, so I moved up from Melbourne at the beginning of Year 11, and I must have arrived at Narrabunga College a few days after that gig because it was all anybody was talking about. It was like how Nirvana had played and people kicked in the door and the skylight and stuff. So it was.
I was told I was too young. Mum would never let me go. I think
that's a common story. Yeah.
And fair. The big glass doors at the uni bar were broken, and someone described it was just blood everywhere because people literally were cut. The plate glass doors, but the gig continued on. The drummer from Tumbleweed vomited all over Dave Grohl's drum kit. That's the other story I heard that night.
I wonder how many of these are true. Well,
yeah, fair enough.
We'll never know.
But certainly one of the great gigs in Canberra history.
That and Skyfire.
Did you ever see 78 Saab?
Oh yeah, of course. We played with them on Friday night.
I completely missed the memo.
Yeah, no, they're absolutely our cousins of rock. I mean, we played with them a lot over the years, and we played with them on Friday. Yeah, saw them all the time.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they're great. They're an amazing band. Beautiful songs.
Look, it's great to catch up with you when it's it's a really, really, really impressive album, and I want to go back to it and listen to it again and again, and I'm going to try and find those little Easter eggs in there you're talking about.
There's lots there. Thanks, Becko. Well, thank you. I appreciate your kind words. Thanks.
I will see you when you're, I'll keep an eye on the gig guide. And
well, we probably won't play Sydney again until maybe May next year, but we will do something then. It's been a fun national tour, and we'll be doing more around May next year.
Your publicist must be so like, just come on, just do a few more shows. The album's out.
Yeah, well, I know. We'll see. We'll see if we get any great offers.
On you, Toby. All the best, and thanks again for the chat. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Becko.
What an interesting guy. Toby Martin, the lead singer of Youth Group, very much part of the Sydney scene. I had no idea. I almost went to school with him just down the road. The new album from Youth Group, Big Whoop, is out now, and I guess sit tight and wait for the next Aussie tour sometime next year as well. Make sure you give the Rider a follow on Instagram, RiderPod, and also favourite on any of your podcast platforms, including Spotify and Apple. Next week, Murray from the Wiggles. Yes, Murray is back with a new band called Murray and the Movers. There's some new music come out, and we'll chat to him and see what he's up to. Next week, Murray Cook on the rider.